Okay, so today I'm so excited. I'm always excited. Like today we are talking to Tobi Oredein. So Tobi is a journalist and the founder of Black Ballad, a media membership company for and by Black women. She's been a journalist for nearly a decade and has written for BBC, Grazia, Stylist, The Independent, and many more. In 2014, she founded Black Ballad as a free access blog. And a few years later, ahead of the curve, she transitioned it into a membership platform as we find it today and secured investment for it in 2019. Through her writing and execution of Black Ballad, in 2018, Tobi was included in Forbes Europe 30 under 30 list in media and marketing. I haven't even finished. And in 2019, the Evening Standard placed her on their list of most influential people in London. That's who we're talking to today. Hey, Tobi, how are you?
Hey guys, thank you so much. Oh God, that introduction. Thank you.
It's all you.
Yeah.
It's good.
Thank you guys. Thank you for having me. I'm really honoured to be on your platform and sharing this. So thank you for having me.
It's great to have you on the show today. So we're going to be chop, chat, chilling today as the usual. But when we're going to chop, we're going to talk about like food, things that nourish your soul.
Yeah.
Then we're going to chat. We know you got like a special topic, which I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on and just kind of have this like conversation about. And then we're going to chill. So we're going to talk culture, books, music, some travel perhaps. I'm not sure we're going to go yet. So we'll see.
Okay. Right. I'm excited.
Okay, so let's chop. If you were cooking for one of your heroes, who would you cook for?
Yeah.
What would you cook for them? And why?
I love this question. I love the responses.
I'm trying to pick one of my top three. I'd probably cook for Una Marson. She was the first Black woman to be a broadcaster at the BBC. And she founded a program in the 1940s, if I'm correct, called Caribbean Voices. And it was kind of about people in the Caribbean reading poetry and kind of like just delving into the Caribbean community. And she really inspires me in what I do, because she made a space, right, for voices that were marginalized in probably a more violent way in the 1940s. So I'd cook for Una Marson so I could kind of, I guess, pick her brains, as people say, in terms of creating, you know, your own sort of platform, and especially in like a space that is where you're like not represented. So I'd probably cook for her. And I would cook, being the Nigerian woman that I am, I would just do jollof. I'd do like a tilapia in sauce. I would do chicken. I would do stew meat. Because also she's like from the Caribbean, and like I'm from like Nigeria. So like why not? Like why not kind of introduce her to like the things that make Nigerian life spicy? So I would cook all of that for her. Why not? Like we like to host, right? We do it properly. So I'd go.
It's the tilapia. When you said the tilapia, that I was there. I was like, can I come?
You anytime you can. I've been to yours. You come to mine.
I love how I'm completely left out. But anyway,
you're invited.
Thank you. Is there any tunes? Any kind of like background music to set the mood?
I love Sade. I'm a big Sade fan. Like I probably drive like my husband crazy in the car. I play Sade all the time. At home, I play her all the time. So I'd probably play Sade, like, because I just think her music's so timeless and her voice is really warm. Like it's like a comfort. I play Sade. Yeah. I like wholeheartedly agree on both points.
Do you think people don't like Sade?
I think.
Nah, you can't.
I think they just won't know her. It's like there are certain types of music and artists where it's just it's just a wonderful sound. You may not be into her sound, and thus you may not like play it all the time.
Yeah.
I think it's difficult to not like it. views.
I think you have to respect her, right? You have to respect her and the sounds that she created. But like she's just beautiful and amazing in all areas. So yeah, her.
Cool. What was the last thing that you did that fed your soul?
That fed my soul. Oh, okay. In all honesty, probably I'm a Christian. It'd probably be reading my Bible. I think that, like, you know, for me, whatever faith you are, like, it just kind of gives you a higher purpose. I think I think the thing I love about my faith as well, it reminds me of how small I am, in a good way. Like I'm a small part of this amazing world, and like I have a chance to just kind of, I guess, do my best. So I read my Bible this morning, and I had, like, you know, I'm a mum and I'm my business. So I had like 20 minutes today where I just kind of read scripture and kind of just felt good about the day ahead. So that was the last thing I did that fed my soul this morning.
Nice. Is it a daily thing that you do?
It was before I had a baby. It was. No, like I'll be completely honest. Right now, it's kind of, if I get to have like 20 minutes, like every like 3 days, I'm really grateful. I am not going to try and sit here and be like, I read my Bible every day. No, not with. I'm still trying to negotiate my time and like how that all works. But I think sometimes, like, there's just a sense of, I guess, relief and weightlessness that I feel when I'm connecting with God. And that's super important to who I am and like my purpose. And I think also it can humble you sometimes because you need to be humbled. But you don't need to be humbled all the time. You know, you got to believe in your source that God gives you as well. Because I believe in my source. I really do. That's true. Like, God can't give you talents and stuff and you be meek and mild about it. But at the same time,
I like that. Don't be meek and mild about your talents.
No, you can't, because what is faith? It's belief, right? So, like, but at the same time, you do need those moments where it's just like, you know what, I need to calm down. I need to think about things. I just need that moment. So, yes, I read my Bible.
I love that. Thank you.
That's all right.
Yeah. So today you wanted to talk about Black love.
Yeah, I did. I don't know why I'm giggling it. Yeah, I did.
I don't know why you are giggling.
I love that.
Dude, I don't get, because I talk about like Black business, Black women, media representation. So I thought, let me come and chat about something that's so different for me. So yeah.
Yeah. So why did you want to speak about that today?
Yeah, as I said, like, it's just so different. Like, when I get asked to do stuff, I'm always talking about, you know, Black entrepreneurship, you know, media, diversity in the media. How do you kind of be a great journalist and all of that? And I love talking about those topics. But I also thought, like, for anyone that ever, like, follows me, are you not tired about me saying the same things all the time? Because, like, do you know what I mean? There's only so many times I can say, I started Black Ballad out of passion and frustration. Like, I love talking about it, but I think it's really important to kind of switch it up a bit. And like, I think Black love has been, you know, there's been a lot of talk around Black love lately, and I've never really spoken about it like that. And I thought with you guys, you create such an amazing, like, what you do is more than, to me, just food. You create like such a warm environment where people can just kind of come and chill. And I feel like the food is actually just kind of the topping, but it's kind of the environment you create. So I thought, why not discuss it with you, because you do that over Zoom as well. So why not?
And go on. Well, I was going to ask, like, what does Black love mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Black love is kind of this love I have for myself, right? I think that especially as a Black woman, we live in a world that is really unkind to us. And I think sometimes if you really consume everything the world is saying about Black women, you really don't love you. I'm not surprised that there's so much, like, it's hard for Black women to fall in love with themselves, whether it be like, you know, the way our hair grows naturally, or if you're a Black woman of a certain hue like me, maybe you're a bit too dark, or like, you know, you have a certain personality trait that's not desirable. So for me, Black love means self-love, first of all, like really loving myself and really knowing who I am. And loving myself physically, emotionally, mentally, and appreciating myself. So that's my starting point for Black love. But I think it's just, Black love is affirming, right? Like, whether it be Black love with, you know, a partner in a romantic way, or with your girls or your friends, those relationships that you have, those bonds that you share, can just be so affirming and safe. So I think that's kind of what Black love means to me. It's self-love, it's safe love, it's affirming love.
So I just, what you just said there was really interesting. I just wanted you just like to speak a bit more about what you said about Black love with your girls. Because I think often when I hear the theme of Black love, we're talking about, you know, a one-on-one partner. But like this is really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Black love doesn't begin and end with romantic love, right? It can be between your sisterhoods. Like, for me, I always say I love nothing more than being in a WhatsApp group with my two best friends who are both, like, you know, Black. Like, in terms of, they can lift me up like no one else. They can take my mind off things like no one else. And just like, you know, this year has been tough, right, for everybody. And, you know, we've been through some things as friends, not like, oh, we've like broken away, but one of us has been through something very life-changing. And just the way we were able to love her, and even them, like, you know, I literally just had a baby, and the love that they've given me, and even my other Black girlfriends, that the love they've showed me this year, I'm just so grateful for it. And like, you know, I do exist in a world, you know, of Black Ballad, where I am like in the entrepreneur space, and I'll be going for certain things, whether it be like funding or, you know, contracts. And, you know, sometimes you can have comments and they can be really cutting, and you know why people are saying them. And I can go to my girlfriend and I'm not going to get judgment. I'm not going to get, oh, are you sure, sweetie, he said that? Or are you sure that's what that means? I'm going to get people that understand and tell me, like, okay, you know, if you're frustrated, tell me why you're frustrated. If you want to cry, you can just cry. Like, I'm here to hold you and hold you up. And I think that's why when it comes to Black love, it's so important to speak about sisterhoods. It's so important to speak about those relationships between women, because they're sacred, and they are the ones that I think, if I'm honest, are the backbone of our community. Black women, we, you know, not by any desire of our own, but we do hold up a lot, and we have to have each other to rely on each other to get through things. So I love, like, my girlfriends in that way. And I think that I just love that I can text them that I'm feeling this way, and like, I'm just not going to get like, you're not going to have a chip on your shoulder, or are you sure? Or like, even that thing about, you know, your girlfriend, especially like Black women, you don't even have to say it sometimes. Like, something can happen, and like, you can kind of get to a point and be like, I know. And you're just like, oh, thank God. I don't have to go through a long-winded explanation. You know what I'm talking about. You get it. And like, they can just kind of pull you in physically, and that's just love to me.
Oh, beautiful. It was no, it was making me think of all my friends and like certain experiences. I'm not sure if you're familiar with For Coloured Girls, the play. I specifically say the play because I think the film's quite different, but it is essentially like a celebration of like sisterhood.
I think the hose was as well there, that for me, I remember for Coloured Girls, that was really great, but the hose was even more powerful because it was like very much set in like a British, Black British female lady setting, and that was like, that was really beautiful to see. And I think because it's about like the empowerment, like being able to be like, especially as someone who's like an entrepreneur, and like, okay, you have to go into like hard situations, and you need to have like business people around you, your friends, you know, who are gonna like, you know, give you advice on that sort of thing. But you also need to have people who you can have a laugh and a joke with at the same time. And I feel like sometimes people like kind of, you know, forget that, like when you're kind of going for, you know, certain things, that you try to get almost a bit too straight, and forget that you need to have those sort of like simple pleasures, simple little joys, whatever. So
100%.
And I was curious, what do you like? If you were looking outside, so kind of like not so much your life, what do you think like is a beautiful example or embodiment of Black love. And I mean that in the broadest sense, whether it is a particular relationship that you've seen or a song or a piece of art. Like, what do you think is a beautiful embodiment of Black love?
Do you know, when you said that, the first thing that comes to mind for me is actually Beyonce's Homecoming, and seeing Beyonce, Kelly and Michelle on stage, and just knowing that like they've all got their separate careers and lives, and at different points of their lives, but when one of them is doing something, they all come together to support. And even like people say, oh yeah, Beyonce, but then Michelle Williams, she had she covered the Say Yes song that if you're Nigerian and you grew up in that household, everyone was singing it on a Sunday. Do you know what I mean? But they even came together for her video, right? And I think that's amazing. And I think that's a sustained Black love, that you can be friends for like 20 plus years or whatever, and when your friend needs you, or when your friend has a project, you lot are willing to jump on and just drop everything and be like, okay, I can be here, I can take a back seat. And I think that's why I really love Destiny's Child. Actually, I'm a huge fan of Destiny's Child. I'm a huge fan of Beyonce, but I'm a huge fan of Destiny's Child, especially like the three, because I've seen, like, you see them when like Michelle's done something, they're in the video. You see them, they did that. What was that challenge where it was kind of everyone was freezing? I don't even remember it. A few years ago, was it where everyone was kind of doing that thing on Instagram? They were like kind of statues and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
where the camera goes through.
Yeah.
And you saw them all doing it at Kelly's son. You saw Beyonce, Michelle, and Kelly doing that challenge at Kelly's son's birthday. I know way too much, right? But but then like you see them on this huge stage at Coachella for Beyonce, and I just think that's an amazing example of Black love between women, because you've seen them support each other in careers, you're seeing them in each other's personal lives, and it's not captured on Instagram, it's not for show, right? It's kind of like, okay, this is, here we are now, but you kind of know their friends, like their friends like behind closed doors, because you kind of see glimpses. And I think that's an amazing example of Black love, because 20 years is a lifetime, right? And they're still together. These women are going to be, one of them's already 40, they've known someone since they're teenagers, and I think that's just an amazing example of Black love that I love to see as well.
I just wanted to know like your thoughts on how it kind of manifests more in like romantic relationships. And
I mean, sorry, go on.
And thus then the role that a guy has to play in kind of supporting what as you mentioned, the backbone of our community.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I am married to a Black man, and I don't know if I could be with anyone, firstly, but my husband, because I know he'll watch this. I'll be like, let me just. Anyone but my husband, but also a Black man. My husband has, I think the thing about Black women especially, we are told more than most people to shrink ourselves, right? Make yourself a little bit quieter so people don't think you're loud and aggressive. Can you like flatten your hair so it kind of, you kind of fit in? And I think the one thing that I found in my marriage that is what I'm grateful for my husband for, that he, not only does he not tell me to shrink myself, he's the one who's giving me the microphone and the platform. Like, he's the one who's like, say it louder, like, be more visible, be out there, like, you need to walk with confidence, you need to like, you need to say, like, Tobi, you need to say your ish, like, you've done a lot, like, why are you not bragging about it? Like, and I think that's what I love about my marriage. I think that's how it should be, right? Because men just have more privilege, whether you be Black, white, Asian, because, being a man, you just have more privilege in society. And my husband kind of uses the privileges that he has and supports me with every like being of his fiber, whether it be like, even in a meeting, because we're business partners, people will talk to my husband and not talk to me. And my husband is the first person to be like, I'm not the CEO, I'm the COO, you need to talk to her. Like, he's just the one who's constantly pushing me forward. And I think as Black women, like, when you're holding up so much, you need someone who's going to catch you. You need someone who's going to just be like, it's okay, like, fall into my arms. And I think that's what my husband does for me. And I think that's why I cherish my marriage. And I think that's why I really am protective, probably of my husband more than he's protective of me. If I'm honest, like, I'm super protective of him. I'm like, No. Like, so yeah, that's what I think is important in romantic relationships. If, you know, also I want to make it clear, if you want to be in like a heterosexual relationship, because like, you know, romantic black love isn't just between a man and a woman. Do you know what I mean? It can be between same-sex couples, but obviously I can't speak to that because I don't have that experience, but I want to make sure that's acknowledged. But if you're, you know, in a relationship like mine, between, you know, being a woman with a man, yeah, like, it's about Black men, I think, telling Black women that they shouldn't shrink themselves, letting Black women feel like it's okay to be a little bit louder, it's okay to kind of wear your afro a little bit taller. Like, even the other day, like, I had my afro out and I kind of had it like, I kind of had a part, so it was kind of like a bit lower, and he's always like, you should wear it higher, like, you know, like, I love it when it's out. And I think that's just so important for Black men to understand when you're with a Black woman. Like, the world tells us to shrink ourselves, you should be like giving her the confidence to be more visible and more louder. Thanks.
I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. It really hit like a note, because it very much reminds me of something that, you know, one of my aunties was telling me about her husband and why it was so beautiful. And I think it's actually, there's a lot to be said for asking those kind of those sorts of questions to people who are in like strong relationships, that you kind of like to think about how you can play your role in your own relationship, whether it be black love or any other love, you know, said. So yeah, that was really powerful. Thank you.
Just last one on this, because you've mentioned you are now a new mother, and I guess what would you like to teach, and maybe, and that's not necessarily like verbally, but from showing your young child about love?
I think having a baby is a whole other level of love, Black love. Like, it's an undescribable feeling. And I think, you know, for my daughter, we want to make sure that she knows she's enough as she is. I want her to know that who she is, the things that she believes, the things that she wants to fight for are worth fighting for. I don't want her to feel that she, again, like, she has to shrink herself. I want her to be confident, and I want to do what I can and what I can with my husband to make sure that my daughter always believes in herself. I think one of the most powerful things I watched, actually, when this was even before I was pregnant, was Richard Williams, and I think Venus Williams is like 14, and she's in an interview, and she's talking about the fact that she is, you know, she's going to be a great tennis player, and like, she can win her match. And, you know, the host, who's a white man, says, you know, why are you so confident? Constantly questioning her, like, how can you be that confident? And her dad steps in and says, like, no, like this is a 14-year-old child. Like, her confidence is, you know, is important. Like, stop trying to dig at it. And I think that's what I want to do for my child. I want her to be able to be confident in any situation. I want her to be able to know that I think society always puts a fault on women and penalizes them, and like says, like, especially for a Black woman, that, like, you know, you need to change, you need to do this better. But no, I just want to constantly assure her that she's enough. I want to make sure that she works hard for the things that she desires. I want to make sure that she's kind as well. I think that's super important. I think there's a difference between being nice and kind. I think, you know, being kind is about, you know, knowing that your presence on earth is not just about yourself, but how can you give back to other people. I think nice is about kind of pleasing people when it's kind of a detriment to yourself. And I want to make sure she knows the difference in that. And as I said, like, self-love is important, because I think if she knows how to love herself, she'll walk through the world better. And I think your job as a parent, right, is to kind of grow a human to exist when you're gone. And I think that, like, if she knows how to love herself, she'll make the right choices, whether it be, you know, in her career, or, you know, in her romantic life, or just, you know, personal development, to assure me that she can exist as a confident young Black lady when I'm gone.
Wonderful. Seriously, like, oh no, that's super. Wonderful. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm still like digesting everything because it's, yeah, I said it's probably actually the first time hearing you talk about these things, and it's so between everything, I know you're very busy, but we will chill now. So if you could travel to any city in the world, and imagine like there's no restrictions, there's no like, social distancing is not even a thing. Everything's open. Like if you can do whatever, it's okay. It's 2019. If you could travel,
I was gonna say this time is 2019. I was getting ready to go to Dubai, so let me know. Imagine
if you could travel to any city in the world, where would it be and why?
Oh, any city in the world. I think I'm trying to. You know, there's a place that I've been, but I want to go again. I know some people are like, oh, I've never been to this place, but it'd be New Orleans. I went to New Orleans when I was 21. I went on a road trip with my girlfriend after uni. And it's still, to me, the best experience of my lifetime. And I spent like 3 or 4 days in New Orleans, and the art, the food, the Black community in New Orleans is so spectacular. So I'd love to spend, I think, you know, when you're 21, like you have kind of different priorities, right? So like I went out clubbing every night in New Orleans, you know. I did some great things in the day. I went to like 1 or 2 exhibitions, but I think there's just so much more to explore. We didn't have enough time when I went. So I'd love to go now. Now I'm a bit more mature, you know, I'm 31. I would love to kind of go back and kind of explore New Orleans properly and kind of delve into more of the food, go to different museums and art exhibitions and kind of talk to the locals more. So I'd love to go back to New Orleans, actually.
Nice. If your life was a book, right now, what chapter would this be called?
Okay.
Do you know what, with that face, I feel like I just saw what Toby was like at school.
No, because you know what? I was like, let me not swear on the chat. So because I was gonna say something, but I was like, let me not swear on the chat. Right. What would it be? It'll be something like securing the bag and making sure the nappies are secure, to be honest, right
now. Making sure the nappy is secure.
Oh, we've had those incidences and I'm the culprit. So I think like that literally would be right now. It is like just because of my business and like we're going kind of through investments. So I think it's kind of like securing the bag, and then I guess making sure the nappy's secure is probably just making sure my daughter's happy at like 6-7 months. So probably that would literally be the title of like my chapter in my book for my life right now.
Cool. And before we wrap up, we've got just one more question.
Me? Okay, cool.
Okay.
What's your life mantra?
My life mantra. I have 2. Am I allowed to do 2?
Yeah.
One's really cheesy, and it's kind of like I had it from college, and it's kind of like, you know, aim for the stars and at worst you'll land in the moon. I think ambition is so sexy in any person, and you've got to aim high, right? You've got to keep shooting as high as possible, because, you know, the higher you shoot, the closer you'll get to that target. Like, so when people say, oh my God, how many like paying members you want for Black Ballad? I'm like, oh, 1 point I want to be 1 million. And people look at me sideways, and I'm like, why should I not aim for this, please? Like, why not? So yeah, I think like aim for the stars, not worst you'll land in the moon is something that I try to live by in terms of just keeping my ambition up. And another one that I live by is that, and one that I'm going to tell my daughter is that kind of like, I should never know if you're talking to the CEO or the cleaner. I think it's so important to be kind to people. I think it's so important. You know, there's definitely a line for people taking the mick and giving grace. But I think also, and I think it's probably because of social media, I've seen it where people might treat me a little bit differently because I have a little bit of a social presence, or they might not treat me as well as the next person because I don't have like 150,000 people following me on Twitter. And I think, for me, I think it's really important to make sure you see people where they are, you see people for who they are, but you don't treat anybody differently. And I think that's what we generally ask as Black people, right? We're asking for you to see us and see our colour, but we're just asking you to see it, acknowledge it, but then treat us how you treat anyone else with respect. So for me, I'm a huge fan of, like, I shouldn't know if you're talking to the CEO or the cleaner, like, your tone shouldn't change, in my opinion, because, you know, everyone can move positions so quickly. I think, you know, where we are in 2020, the person who was making all of that money, you know, at the top of the year might be in a massive amount of debt because their business hasn't just, you know, got a great revenue stream that's suited to, like, the current climate, right? So I am a big fan of making sure that people have respect for everyone regardless who they are, which is why I love that quote. So yeah.
Thank you.
It's
been good.
Yeah, honestly, Tobi, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for speaking so candidly about Black love and even your own marriage and motherhood. It's been genuinely such a real pleasure. Like, I feel full. Do you know what I mean? I haven't eaten, but I feel full. Like,
definitely a lot of some insights, some advice to kind of just mull over and just think and make sure actually putting them in practice in day-to-day life. So it's really good. Thank you.
And so take care, and we hope to catch up with you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.